Hello everyone, welcome to EA Global Summit 2023 and this is Sujat from the organizing team. I'm happy to welcome you all to this virtual event where Sparx EA users from all over the world come together to learn, work and share their experiences. Whether you are a seasoned EA expert or just beginning your journey with Sparx EA, this summit has something special in store for each one of you. We have a fantastic lineup of prominent speakers who are experts in Sparx EA community and wanted to share their experience with you all. This session will be by Takeshi Kuno from Sparx Systems Japan with an interesting topic on finding your best process with a process flow diagram. Remember that this event isn't just about presentation but collaboration. Take advantages of the networking opportunity and discuss with the fellow attendees at the end of the session. If you haven't received a Slack invite or maybe missed it, please let us know in the chat window and we'll send you an invite to join the Slack channel right now. Also, we encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A window and the speaker will be answering all your questions directly in the Slack. Please let us know what you thought of the summit and the talks. Based on your inputs, we also plan to recognize the speakers who received the most positive feedbacks. After the summit, our team will get in touch with you all to hear your comments on the various sessions. If you have any feedbacks, we'd love to hear them. Over to you, Takeshi.
Thank you, Sujas. And now I'm switching my window. Please wait. Yes. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Takeshi.
Okay. Okay. So let's start my session. And thank you for joining my session. And today, I want to share the notation, the process flow diagram. And the process flow diagram is a tool to find the best process. So today, I want to share how to find the best process with the process flow diagram. And this is today's agenda. At first, I'd like to introduce myself and I tell you the basic of the process flow diagram or PFD and PFD objective notation and rules. And then I will show you how to use PFD on Enterprise Architect. And at first, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Takeshi Kono. I'm a CEO and founder of Sparx in Japan. In last 20 years, now there are about 70,000 users in Japan. And my current interest is in MBSE or CCM. So last night here, I asked Tom about the system 2.0. So it's because my current interest is MBSE and CCM. And as Tom said in the last session, now Japan, it is so there are many users of Enterprise product who is interested in MBSE or SysML, and more customers want to use Enterprise Architect and MBSE SysML. And today, the main theme is process flow diagram. So process is a key word. So now I want to define the word process. And process today is a steps to produce a software system development. Yes, process is very common word, and the process flow diagram today can be used for everything, not only software or system, but today I concentrate to use for software system development. And a process consists of actions, sometimes we call activities or tasks, and artifacts and flows. And each action can also be a sub-process, so we can create hierarchy. Usually, how we visualize or describe our process, there are many notational tools to visualize or describe our process. UML activity diagram flowchart are very common for us to describe various kind of behavior, but basically they are for describing software behavior, but we can describe our process, how to create software system by using these notations. And BPMN is also very common notation, but basically it's for business processes. And we can visualize our process by using a Microsoft project or similar tools. Yes, but they are basically for project task and schedule tools. And we can describe, visualize everything with Visio or Excel shape. By using them, anyone can draw anything. But we can draw freely, so there is no rule or restriction. So in some cases, someone cannot understand the meaning of the process by using these tools. So today, I would like to add more notation, another notation for process visualization. That is the process flow diagram today. But maybe you may know some different process flow diagram because it's very simple and intuitive name. So we can find various kind of process flow diagram in Google. But I'm sure today's process flow diagram is different from them because this process flow diagram was invented by Japanese consultant, Mr. Yoshio Shimizu. He was a software consultant and he was a specialist for derivative development. That means he invented a method to modify or change, add some new features to existing system of software. So he said it's different from creating a new software system. So he invented a method to update, modify, change existing software system effectively. And yes, he was very famous, especially in this area. But unfortunately, he passed away several years ago. I met him about 15 years ago, and I learned a lot from him. And I created some add-ins to support his method. So in the last night, Tom, Spark CEO Tom, said about Sparks Japan's activities. In that slide, there are two words. One is PFD today, and another is USDM. USDM was also invented by him. So it's very simple and useful method to describe requirements. So if I have any chance in the future, I will share the USDM method. Anyway, today, I want to share the process flow diagram, PFD. But the time is limited, so I cannot explain whole specification of PFD today. So I'm concentrated to basic of process flow diagram. And this is an example of process flow diagram. So it's very similar to DFD, data flow diagram. Yes, it's true because he invented the PFD from data flow diagram. So it's very simple. And this circle is a process. So in this diagram, to create a traceability document from source files, we need two information requirements and current source files to create traceability document. It's very easy to understand. Maybe you can understand without my description. It's very simple. And we can create more PFD to describe detail. So in this case, about this process, we can create more one process flow diagram to show detail. So in this case, there are some internal processes, these four processes, and there are some internal intermediate artifacts, or documents, or informations. So we can create more process flow diagram to describe in detail. Anyway, it's very simple. And now you can use this process flow diagram because I already created the PFD profile for Enterprise Architect. So you can download from the following URL here or shorten URL here. And I wrote some instruction how to install the profile. So if you are interested in today's process flow diagram and you want to try, please download from here and install to your Enterprise Architect. You can use as free. Now, I'll tell you why PFD was invented by Mr. Yoshio Shimizu, a Japanese consultant. So he worked on many projects. Usually, he was called to help or support existing projects. And usually, the projects were in problem. So he must solve the problem and he must support to create final artifact, usually executable software, as soon as possible. But he joined intermediate, so not the first. So he must understand the overall flow of each project at first. So for example, which process can he start now, or which process is more urgent, or if he want to start some process, what information, what artifacts are necessary to start a process? So he must gather various kind of information to understand the current project and to find the shortest way to create the final artifact. So he must write down various kind of information and he must share the information to change the current process. So he must show current situation, current process among the stakeholders and discuss for change to be better process. But at the time, there was no suitable notation, very easy to understand for everyone. So he invented the process flow diagram. So at first, objective of PFD is to visualize, to describe a process. And it must be understandable to everyone. And it will be used for baseline to discuss for the beta process. But now, process flow diagram, PFD, is a tool to find the best process. That means PFD is a tool to find unnecessary processes and documents, or PFD is a tool to find hidden process and documents. So there are many hidden undocumented information in every project, usually hidden in someone's head. So we cannot see the existence of information, but it's necessary to proceed the project to create the final artifact. So it's very important to find this kind of unnecessary, unseen, undocumented information. But what is the best process? I must define the process, best process. I think model diagrams and artifacts are just enough. So if we can find the best process, we can create model diagrams and artifacts, not just enough, not too much. And everyone understand why each artifact is necessary or how each artifact is used. So in enterprise architecture, usually we create a lot of diagrams to describe something. To create the diagram effectively, so we must understand, for example, what information is used to create the diagram, or where or who the diagram will be used in the subsequent process, or how we get necessary information, or where is the necessary information. especially, I think the most important is here, how will the diagram be used in the future? So if we can understand how we used, so we can add necessary information, we can cut unnecessary information in each diagram. So by understanding them, we can create diagram effectively. So today, I'd like to share is if we can find the best process with process flow diagram, PFD, we can know when, who, how, and why for each diagram. And by understanding these points, we can create just enough models and diagrams. And if we can create just enough models and diagrams, we can create system of software effectively using enterprise architect. So I think finding the best process is key to use enterprise architect effectively. And process flow diagram is a nice, best tools to find the best process. That means the process flow diagram is a tool to use enterprise architect effectively. Now, I'll tell you specification about process flow diagram. First, elements. There are only 4 types of elements. One is a process, here's circle icon. And other 3 elements are artifacts, document, program, and knowledge. Knowledge is very unique to this process flow diagram. It's undocumented information. And each element can have a number or ID. So in this case, this process has a number or ID P1, and this document has number D1, and this program has a number C1, and so on. And some elements have additional properties. For example, a document element has an additional property type. And when we change the type property to mode, the icon will be changed like this. So that means this document is not only 1, but 2 or more bunch of documents. As I told you the last slide, there are 3 types of artifacts. Programs, documents are very easy to understand. But knowledge, yes, this is unique to this process flow diagram. Knowledge is this icon is undocumented information, skills, or know-how. And I think it's very important to find these kind of undocumented, unseen information for each project. And we can name people's name, for example. For example, in this case, this review change process requires 2 information. One is review viewpoints, and another is changed source files to create review result document. But this review viewpoints information is only Tom's head, so only Tom understands this review viewpoints information. There's no document about this review viewpoints. So to start this review change process, we need Tom. Tom is a key person. So if Tom is absent, we cannot start this process. So Tom is a key person, and the review viewpoints is necessary information. I think there are many cases like this in many existing projects, but some people only knows the information is Tom's head. So, but for example, about like Mr. Yoshimi's consultant, so a person from outside, they cannot understand existing information. So it's very important to find this kind of knowledge information. And we can connect these artifacts or process by flows. Process must have both incoming and outgoing flow, at least one incoming and at least one outgoing. So for example, this process has one incoming flow and one outgoing flow. So here, this process is wrong because this process doesn't have any outgoing flow. Flows can be bidirectional. That means updating. So in this case, this process only one flow, but this is bidirectional. So it's the same as one incoming flow and one outgoing flow. So it's okay. And we cannot connect between processes. So process must connect to or from artifacts. And the same, we cannot connect between artifacts. So artifact must connect to or from processes. And we can name flows about related conveyed information. So in the last example, yes, this is the name of this flow. So this means this flow conveys this review viewpoints information. In this example, I named use or create and so on, but it's not correct usage. It's to describe rules of flows. And there are some rules about process flow diagram. For example, today I show you 3 important rules. And number 1 is there is no order among processes. So in this case, this process 2 has a number P2 and this process 1 has a number P1, but numbers are just ID, not order. So in this case, this process 2 creates this document 1 and this document 1 is used in this process 1. So P2 is the first and P1 is second. So order is not the same as ID. Order is implicitly determined by seeing this process flow diagram flows. And each flow never has conditions, but actually we have conditional activity. For example, if the review fails, we must create some documents. If the review succeeds, we must create some documents. So in this case, we describe both cases in process flow diagram. So do not care about conditional flow, but we visualize all cases, all documents, all possible documents in the process flow diagrams. So we don't write the condition here. We never write condition. And the last 3 is numbers can be indicate hierarchy. So in this case, this process 1 has a subprocess flow diagram, and there are 2 subprocesses, P1.1 and P1.2. We can understand these 2 processes are subprocess of this process 1 because number is P1.1 and P1.2, and this process is P1. And it's the same about artifacts. So in this case, there are 2 documents, D1.1 and D1.2, and these documents are decomposed document of D1. We can understand by checking these IDs. It's very easy, simple to understand. Now, I will tell you how to create process flow diagram. It's also very, very unique to this process flow diagram. We create from the goal, working backwards. So the first action is add the final artifact, usually source files are executable. So add the final artifact at first, and then add the process to create this final artifact. It's a second. And then we think what information are necessary to create this final artifact in this process, and other artifacts and connect to the process. And repeat again and again. So try to consider this document D1. So add the process, connect between them, and we think what are necessary information to create this document D1 and so on. But if an artifact is existing or created by different process, we don't need to add a process. It's a leaf final artifact. And if all leaf artifacts were existing or created by different processes, it's finished. We complete creating the process flow diagram. And then we must keep updating the process because there are many changes after describing, visualizing the current process. So we must update existing process flow diagram to suit the changes. And we can apply the common patterns for better process. I will tell you later. And finally, we can find our best process. And after finding our best process, we must reuse for other similar developments. If we can use without any change, it's best, but we need to modify to adapt for each development, each project. So it's nice to create templates from best process for reuse. So copy the template, modify for suit each project. And if there's a points to be better more, apply it's a template. So I must tell you why we think from the goal by using this process flow diagram. If we think from the start, so usually we simply list and connect existing process and artifacts. So in this case, at first there are two documents A and B, and we create the document C from these two documents, and then again and again. So if we think from the start, we are influenced by current experiences. But if current process is best process, it's okay, but maybe it's not the best process. So we must find hidden knowledge, hidden information. So by starting from the goal, so at first we add the document C and add the process and think what information are necessary to create this document C. So in this case, there are three information X, Y, Z. We need three information to create this document C. And information X is written in document A, and information Y is written in document B. So in this case, by thinking from the goal, we can find undocumented hidden information Z in someone's head. But by by thinking from the start, it's just list up and connect existing visible information, visible document, visible. We just adding current process. By thinking from the goals, we can find hidden undocumented process or information. And these are keys to create our best process. There are patterns to be better process. Today, I will show you 4 basic patterns to be better. At first, remove unnecessary artifacts. So in this case, process 1 creates this document, and this document is used in this process too, and this document too creates this document too. So in this case, we try to think, can we cut these intermediate document and the process? So can we create the document two directly from the process one? Maybe at first, these intermediate document or intermediate process were necessary, but now consider again. So now we can create process this document two directly process one. We don't need to create this intermediate document. There are many similar cases. So we can cut unnecessary process, unnecessary document, unnecessary information. Number two, add a process to make an artifact from knowledge. So in this case, this process one creates this document, but it requires knowledge. It's undocumented. It's in someone's head. So in this case, if this person is absent, we cannot start this process. That means we cannot create this document. So in this case, add a process to create this document from this undocumented information, and then this process is used. This process use this document to create this document. By creating this knowledge document, everyone can understand information, and now if he or she is absent, it's no problem to start this process. So finding hidden unseen information is a key to be better. And pattern number three, removing unnecessary update process. So in this case, this process creates this document, and this document is updated, this updating process, and this document is used in next process. So in this case, can we cut this updating process? That means, can we create the final document without updating in this process? Because of this updating process, next process must wait to finalize this document. So by cutting this updating process, this process can be started just after creating this document. And last, number four, divide an artifact is two or more documents. So in this case, this process creates this document, and this process updates this document, and this document is used in these two processes. In this case, can we divide two documents? By dividing, this process don't need to wait this updating process, because this document is not updated by other processes. So this process can be started just after creating this document. And we can start these processes concurrently by dividing documents. So maybe there are more patterns to be better process, but these four are very common patterns to be better. Now, I will show you how to create the process flow diagram on Enterprise Architect. And today, there is an example story about demo, but operations in Enterprise Architect is very simple. It's the same as other notations like UML. So for example, if we want to change properties, we can use the properties windows, and we can create sub-diagram, sub-process flow diagram. We just add a child diagram, the same manner as other notation like UML. And today's example story is maybe it's very common story. In the software development, requirements are gathered from various sources, and they are represented as requirements elements in the requirements diagram. And the requirements are prioritized, and high priority requirements are assigned to developers, and developers modify the source files. It's very simple from requirements to source files. But currently, there are some problem. For example, some high priority requirements are not assigned to anyone. Or sometimes there is not enough information about the requirement, so developer must ask detailed missing information to customers directly. And many people don't understand how to prioritize requirement. So I try to describe this process with enterprise architect and process flow diagram. Now I switched to enterprise architect. It's very simple to create a diagram. We can use the same manner as other notations. After installing PFD profile, you can see process flow diagram. So just create. So there are 4 types of elements and flows. At first, we create the final artifact. In this case, we create modified source file. This is the final artifact. And then we add a process to create, so thinking from backwards, create process by using quick linker and add a name for process. So in this case, modify source files. And then we think what information are necessary to create these modified source files. I have text so to create. So I'm not good at typing English words, so I use these words. So of course, source file is necessary to create modified source file, of course. And high priority requirements is also necessary information. It's documented information. And then assignment information is necessary information. Who is a person to modify the source files? But now it's not documented. So this is why some assignments were not assigned to anyone. And it's not enough to create and modify the source files from this current requirements information. So developer must ask customers about missing information. So customer is also necessary information, necessary artifact. Yes, it's undocumented. So I use a knowledge icon. So there are 4 informations to create these modified source files, but currently only 2 artifacts are visible, existing. So developers already understand they must ask customers for detail, or assignment information is not documented anywhere. But maybe manager or people who coming to this project later cannot understand existence of these information. So by creating process flow diagram and from the goals, we can recognize these kind of knowledge unseen information. And then, as I told you before, think about next process for each artifact. For example, this assignment, so we must add a process. Sorry, I forgot one thing. So this is additional information. So customers tell these developers about additional information. So I name additional information to this flow. So customers, from the customer, we can get additional information to modify source files. And then we add the process to assign to developers. And then we think what are necessary information to assign to developers and create assignment information. In this case, it's only high priority requirements. And then source files already exist. So we don't need to add the process. Yes, as customer already exists, so we don't need to create customer process, of course. And next here, high priority requirements. So we need to add the process to create high priority requirements. So we add the process to create these requirements. There's not enough space, so I moved. Then we think what are necessary to create high priority requirements. So yes, we need priority rules, but it's also undocumented. So I use a knowledge icon. And requirements, yes, it's necessary, but it's documented. So I use a document icon. And then how to gather requirements here. So we add a process to gather requirements and who has original requirements. So one is sales staff and another is customer here. So I move this icon to here and connect flows and modify these flows. So now I can create current process flow diagram from requirements to modify source files. And by thinking from the goal, we can find undocumented information or undocumented process. So this flow is undocumented. So the process at first must consider only these requirements to create this modified source files, but it's currently unnecessary. So developers ask directly. So we can find these flows, information flows. And yes, this is the example result. And by solving current problem, so finally, the process flow diagram is changed like this. So by visualizing the current process as a PFD, so we can understand the current situation and we can update it to be better to solve the problem. For example, additional information requested by developers is now recorded here. So this red flows and red process are added process and flows. So in this case, we add gather missing information process to gather information, but still this information is undocumented. So we add another process to updating requirements document. So it's the same as current, but this additional information is now recorded, updating this requirements information. So in the future, we can understand why this modifier is like this. We can check this requirement information, but now it's undocumented, so we cannot understand why the change. But now about these changes we can understand by checking this requirements information. Maybe we will try to remove this flow. So maybe every developer must show only these requirements, but now this is still happen. So we must change in the future to be better. And the second is priority rules is undocumented. So now priority rule requirements now documented by adding a process to gather priority rules and create this priority rules document. So now if he or she is absent, it's no problem because there is priority rules document, so we can check how prioritize requirements by checking this document. And with Enterprise Architect, it's very easy to modify. For example, here is a point to modify. So add a new process by using quick linker, add a new document by quick linker, and switch current flow to here. So it's very easy to modify by using Enterprise Architect. And the next, number 3, is there's a process to verify if all requirements have been assigned. So add a process here to verify assignment. And now assignment information is changed to document from knowledge. It's also easy to change like this. Just drag this document icon onto this knowledge and convert. We can convert icon. So we don't need to remove and add a document icon and connect flows again. We don't need to connect again. So convert and add a process. And this is bidirectional flow, so we need to modify the properties. Anyway, it's very easy to modify current process. As I told you now, Enterprise Architect is best tool, I think, to use process flow diagram. But we can describe PFD with Visio or Excel. So why Enterprise Architect is the best tool? We can use a quick linker to comply with the PFD rules. So when we try to connect between artifacts, we cannot connect between processes by quick linker because there is a rule, but we can create flows freely if we use Visio or Excel. And we can confirm between processes and artifact by the relationship matrix. So who use the information, which process use the information, we can understand easily by using relationship matrix. And we can create sub-diagrams to drill down. So it's just right click and new child diagram and double click to move in the detailed process flow diagrams. And we can see detailed process flow diagram by using this eye icon. Now it's empty, but we can use this icon to see, check very easily. And we can assign processes to members. Now, in process flow diagram, there is no information who do the process, each process. There's no notation, but by using Enterprise Architect, we can assign process to members by using the resource management feature or Kanban feature. Or we can keep more information by using the linked document or Dash discussion feature, or we can check the differences between processes. For example, current process and changed, modified process by using lemon tree. And we can share the process by using HTML word feature of Enterprise Architect or maybe Prolaborate. But I think this sharing the process, current process flow diagram is most important because everyone must understand current process, latest, newest process and think what are necessary, who will be used in the future, and so on. So sharing the current process is most important. If we use HTML Word feature, we need to recreate HTML Word document, but by using WebEA Prolaborate, we don't need to update or recreate information automatically updated after we modify the process flow diagram. So it's very important to use these kind of tools to share the current process flow. And this is summary slide. The process flow diagram in this presentation was invented by Japanese consultant, Mr. Yoshio Shimizu. So maybe you didn't know the process flow diagram, but it's very special, very simple. SPFD is a useful tool to describe a whole process in a simple and understandable notation for everyone can understand without description. Maybe it's very easy to understand. And PFD is a find the best process. So we can find unnecessary process and artifact by using process flow diagram, and we can find hidden processes and artifact by using process flow diagram, and we can change to be better. And finally, we can find the best process. And by using process flow diagram, everyone can understand the purpose of each diagram and think about necessary or unnecessary information in each diagram. So if we create a diagram, we can confirm what are necessary information, how will be used in the future by checking the process flow diagram. And yes, PFD is can be used on any kind of drawing tools, but I think PFD is more useful with Enterprise Architect, and I think Enterprise Architect is the best tool to use with PFD. Thank you for your time. This is the last final slide, so I hope this session could help you better Enterprise Architect life. And if you are interested in using this process flow diagram, PFD, you can download the profile from here. And this is the Enterprise Architect process flow diagram, EAPFD. So you can download and install and use to describe, visualize your own process. And if you have any questions, please post them in Slack with a mention to me or send an email to this my address. Thank you for joining my session.
Thank you, Takeshi, for sharing your valuable insights. I also wanted to acknowledge the active participation and engagement of the audience, and thank you, everyone. If you have any questions or want to discuss deeper into this topic, we have set up a dedicated Slack channel for you. This is your opportunity to connect directly with Takeshi, share your thoughts, and engage in the discussions. If you still need to join the Slack, please let us know in the chat window, and we will send you an invite immediately. Our speaker is eager to continue the discussion and answer your questions, so do not hesitate to let us know. Thank you once again for your active participation, and I look forward to see you all in the Slack channel. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you for yes.